Hey there YouTubers. Alright, so in this video I'm going to install an i5-11600K, or you could say replace, because I previously took out a 10th gen CPU out of the B560 that I'm going to use. Now here's the CPU. The case is dirty, not the CPU, but it is sitting in there. You might not be able to see it, somewhere in there hopefully. Alright, so I'm going to try something different today too, folks. We've got a GoPro. This is a Hero 8, and I'm going to try and get some video from inside the case. Which we've got cables all over the place. So previously had another CPU installed in here. CPU cooler wise, this is the Vetroo V240. Now I did actually buy that. Previously they sent me a V360, which you really haven't seen on the channel yet. That's the triple fan version. But I've been really happy with the V240, and I'm not just saying that because they gave me one, but you know, been, like I said, it has kept the CPUs I put in here pretty cool. And so we're going to try it with the i5-11600K today. Now let me go ahead and get our little GoPro ready to go. So I haven't really used one of these too much, so we'll see how this goes. Of course, we're getting video of myself. Now, if we can find a good spot to put this is another story, right? And we're obviously going to have to do some editing. Sitting that on the motherboard is probably not the best thing in the world, but hey. Alright, folks, so what do we have to do first? Pull this back. And then we've got to take this out of the case. Now, this is always scary to do one-handed. I really can't recommend that you do this with one hand. And for those of you who don't know, I'm still in Africa, so we do not have our awesome studio with the lighting, with the all the tripods, with the additional cameras, with all the good toys that I have home. Okay, so what we're looking for on our CPU, and I'll clean this up in a minute, that little triangle there that you can barely see, that needs to go in this lower left corner. Now, depending on your motherboard, it may be noted on there. In this case, it's on the plastic cover, okay? I'll show that to you in a second as I get ready to drop this thing down. So, we're leaving the cover on. It's not going to kill you if you take the cover off. You do want to make sure you place that in properly, and it does not look like I've done it right. So, that would not have been a good place to shift it side to side. Okay, so looking at it now, looks like it's in there. Now, if you don't put these CPUs in properly, when you bring down the next step, you can screw up some pins. Okay. Alright, so now we bring this down, and of course the lighting is so terrible in my Connex box that I live in here in Africa. We better turn the light on for you. There's a triangle I'm looking for. Okay, you want to make sure this thing goes under the post there. Alright, so, and it is, and now we're going to pull this down. Boom. So pretty much got a 11 gen in. So now I got to get my CPU cooler ready to go. And you know, this is like a test computer, folks, so I'm not trying to make this thing look pretty. It's not the purpose of it. But you know, obviously you can put some cables in some other places. RGB always means usually you're going to have extra cables lying around, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world. Alright, now we need some Noctua paste, folks, because on this channel, you know, I only use Noctua paste. Sorry, Vetroo, but that's the way it goes. Alright, so Noctua says to put about 4 to 5 millimeter diameter on here. I don't know how many times I've screwed this up. As many times I do it. Now, this big Noctua container is a little harder to control than say your smaller ones. I will tell you that. That's the 10 gram one there. Alright, so before we continue, you know, one of the reasons I make these videos, honestly, is so people can see what gear is in the computer at any given time. I don't always make them, but you know, you can see we have EVGA GTX 1080 in here. Current prices, I think, is probably worth anywhere from $600 to $1,000. If you can find somebody to pay $1,000 bucks, hey, I would take $1,000 right now. Eventually this is going to have probably a Western Digital Gen 4 in here, where I've got the GoPro. Right now we've got this thing barely in here. I don't even have the screw in, but that is your generic Samsung EVO 970 right there, folks. Alright, so this B560 with the 11th gen in, guess what? We're going to get to take advantage of this 4133 megahertz RAM here, okay? This is Patriot RAM. That'll set you back $140 now. Is it worth it? Be honest with you, if you can get 32 gigs of 3600 megahertz, it seems to do a better job. Alright, I'm just saying. So, we're going to go ahead and put this over top of that. I'm not going to be able to do it with this camera. A little too difficult. So, then we're going to put these pins in, okay? So, that's what I'm doing next. Alright, so far we have 3 of the 4 pins are in. Barely have them in, just so we can get the 4th one in. And then we'll tighten them down. Alright, so they're in. It's time to tighten it. So, might not have noted this, but I'm basically going around alternating this. You know, the other reason I put this in here is I've been waiting for my 11400 to show up. And it must be lost in the mail. Newegg. Surprisingly, actually mailed it to me here in Africa, but it's just taken an ungodly amount of time. So we've moved on. When the 11400 does come in, I'll put it in the Z590 to start off with. That way we can kind of compare how it actually did with that. Now, will this stay in here? Doubtful. I do have a H510 motherboard coming in. So this will eventually find its way back, or it'll end up in a Z490. We'll see. Alright folks, that's going to do it for this video. I'll do a probably one of my benchmark videos, and you know, like I said, we'll pull out this drive. We'll put the EVO 980 in here first, and then we'll do some benchmarks in a different video and a lot of gaming. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Alright folks, just so you can see the final way this looks, EVO 980 Pro Gen 4, Gen 3 over here. This is 1 terabyte. Added a S600 Pro. There we go. Finally, just so you can get a look at what it looks like with the lights on. There you go.